There's a man in the woods. What a spectacle. Before the story started, the school was still respectable. My students used to skip down the hill to the honeysuckle, pluck a couple, and collect their nectar till they picked their fill. Except one obnoxious kid, Sid, who just watched them eat the flowers while he seethed and scowled, 'cause he couldn't bear to share his sweet treats during the recess hour. I remember Sid saying, "There's a man in the woods." And that's how the rumours began. Of course Sid had spotted him first. The poor kids, he got them immersed in his spiel about a serial killer whose gun barrel glint he'd said Pyrrell. A visit to the nurse, or worse, a hearse, waiting beyond the dale. The children saw him everywhere. "Look, over there! That man had Batman ears, we swear! And crazy yellow eyes! We saw something rusty! His shotgun, it must be! I saw a lady's seventh eye!" Trust me. Every word I heard was absurd, yet each day Sid would stray down, way past the playground. Who else was brave enough to save us from the killer's next plot? The rest of the lot would stop back at the blacktop, sure that any closer they were bound to be found deep in the woods left to rot. I pleaded for the kids to think and learn to be mature, but a few more rumours doomed my attempts to prove the school was secure. Their fear was undeterred, and the buses drove them all home. Their parents finally heard. Everything blew up. I received roars of emails and calls of shrieks, wails and all, from terrified families who heard of the murderer and didn't like my lack of action at all. What was I supposed to do? Comb the whole forest? Yeah, right, would you? That means that I didn't care? That's not fair. The stories that were you weren't true. Of course I would feel regret if there had been a real threat and I ignored it, and some poor kid got kidnapped while the other kids were napping. But you couldn't admit that your good little kid would formulate a fib, so you ignored what I said. Your little angels could never cook up such an incredible creations. Overactive imaginations maybe, but my kid could never lie. How dare I accuse a child of being dishonest? Just monstrous. The parents were displeased and when the PTA took action, they dismissed me from the classroom. Like they knew what was best for their kids. Do you know how difficult it is to get a job when a bitter mum slanders your rep with child neglect from the outset? Who's in control of your classes? Single file lines, little vile swine, a killer by the pine. Really? Are you blind? Will you find your spines? Sid, a child decides to fill our minds with lies, and the next thing you see is people treating me like I've committed crime. I was in my prime. Those kids were lucky to have me. Do you see what you did? I can play along. I can be good. You hear that, Sid? There's a man in the woods.